to talk about the streaming wars, not just the streaming wars as far as streaming services, but the battle for everybody's attention spans these days. Because as entertainment and media has become decentralized, we have a vastly different way of consuming media these days. And Netflix seems to be kind of throwing down the gauntlet with YouTube here. So do you know who Ted Sarandos is? He's the CEO over at Netflix.
Yes.
I give Ted Sarandos a lot of credit because whether you like it or not, Netflix is the top of the hill when it comes to streaming services. Netflix is consistently in the top 5, 6, sometimes even 7 shows every single week when those ratings come out from Samba TV. They are clearly doing something right. But what they're saying right now is that they're saying that YouTube is Bush League, and that's how they view their content. So Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos apparently threw down the gauntlet at YouTube and was heard disparaging the content that YouTube offers at a recent appearance for the Paley Media Council event on Friday. Sarandos was heard waving off YouTube for offering unprofessional programming as far as he's concerned. He did admit that his company and YouTube are in competition, but it's only in small part, he says. He adds that YouTube is not a good recovery model for video creators. He also hinted that he feels that most of what YouTube is not professional content. He says, I think we're in a better monetization model for networks and studios for professional content, but I also think that there's a whole bunch of creators that I would put in the pro-am category who are making really interesting, compelling programming to watch, but YouTube doesn't give them any money up front to make it, so they're doing it all at their own risk. You saw that with Mr. Beast. Basically, he said he lost $80 million last year on his YouTube channel, so it's not a good recovery model. But if Beast had the audience that he had like that on Netflix, he wouldn't be raising money. He'd be giving away more money. Well, I think the issue here that he's kind of ignoring is that YouTube is free.
Yeah, this is.
I mean, there's a bunch here.
He's very. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
There's a whole crap ton to unpack here.
He's first of all, I will say I love the picture they chose for him in the top of this article.
I know. He just looks like a dude who's gotten like 9 facelifts.
Dude, but
like this dude has been through it.
So there's a stereotype that women love true crime, and I don't think it's true. I think everyone loves true crime.
I don't.
But the difference is,
I don't care about true crime.
The difference is a certain percentage of the population, they want the dramatized, super cinematic storytelling, right? That's what you get on True TV. That's what you get on the cable networks. There's a couple YouTubers that I watched, their names are escaping me, where they literally just play the raw footage of like the interview of the suspect, and they chime in on why it's legal or not, right? And it's like, I don't need an awesome title sequence. I don't need music in the background. I don't need any of that. Like, not everything needs to be super professional. A part of why some YouTubers are as big as they are is the fact that they don't seem super corporate and professional. Yeah, it's the fact that it's raw.
The stuff that I love the most is not like corporate performed like grade A content. Not to say that it's not good. So I'm literally like over the last week, I've been parsing my way through a 3-hour and 30-minute Buffy the Vampire Slayer retrospective that was made by one guy who runs through and gives like a short synopsis of every single episode in the show and then gives his thoughts. And it follows a very similar format through the whole thing. It's got a ton of it's a simple production process, but there's a ton of like post-production visual elements and stuff in there. Now, it doesn't change from the format very much, but it's one person making that. And I don't just watch that guy's channel. I believe the channel is JB's Spooky Reviews, and you should go check it out. If you love stuff like that, I think he makes great content. There's other content creators like Greg Owen, who does very, very insightful pieces about modern day Hollywood. He did a great one recently about Hollywood, the rise of Marxism, and how it connects back to the industry. He makes great stuff, but he's sitting in front of a camera, and it doesn't have 10,000 edits, 10,000 cuts, but it's fantastic. And I don't go to it for the production value, even though it is good. I go to it for the content.
Well, you know, you look at like, I'm going to bring up an example from Tim. Tim was talking about Severance and why he doesn't like Severance. And he's talking about there's a lot of just like skippable moments, right? Stuff that he's just fast forwarding to. And it's like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Maybe not with Severance, but there's a lot of people that don't care about the shot of the landscape with the music that goes on for a minute. You know, a lot of people don't necessarily care or appreciate all the art that goes into some of these it's just unnecessary.
Yeah. So 20 here from The Last of My Kind says, Disney shrunk you on the poster, not the fans. I had surgery the day Finn's trailer came out. My post-anesthesia rant. Hope he keeps the blood-stained armor turning more and more red with the blood of the Empire. See, people wanted Finn. He sent it twice. Thank you. We got it though. But thank you for that.
Sweet, dude.
Look, let's go back up. So, what was the first thing he says? He says it's not a good recovery model for creators. He also hinted that he feels that most of what YouTube...
This is so disingenuous, though.
Also, the thing is, like, look, you're paying for that stuff to be created. Nobody's paying 90% of the creators on YouTube to make their content.
Well,
they're making their content with the hopes of making their money back. But let's face it, most do it as a hobby.
What did Mr. Beast lose that money on? Did he specify?
It doesn't. I mean, it's the sheer amount it costs.
Could it be the dozens of projects that Mr. Beast has going on that are set to
all
release
at one time?
Like that's Mr. Beast puts all of his money basically back into Mr. Beast stuff. So whether it's Feastables or his other actual merch companies, or it's his translation service, or it's just video content, like. You have to realize how much work and planning goes into that stuff. And so, like, it's so disingenuous just to be like, Mr. Beast lost money that he's never going to get back.
Yeah.
Like, you are so out of touch, dude.
He says that you cut your teeth on a show, but it's not a place to make money. He says, I think we're a better monetization model for networks and studios. That's the thing. YouTube is not necessarily designed, though I do think that YouTube unfortunately gives heavy preference in the algorithm to studios and to corporations. It's not championed by studios and corporations. If anything, they resent having to be on YouTube because they see it as beneath them.
Right.
Just the way that news networks do, right?
Oh, well, you know what's interesting is we were just looking at the top news live streams in the country, and you know some of the creators especially on Rumble, are in the top 5 spots. But I think number 6 or 7 was Fox's channel. So Fox realized, and this is one of I talk about this a lot, like off air, is just how brilliant this is instead of just putting up their like a rebroadcast, which they could do of what's currently airing on their cable channel, they actually have, I think, 3 or 4 different personalities that do a 24-hour live stream. And it's a slightly different format. It's more informal, right? Sometimes there's technical glitches. It's more like your average internet news host, and it's doing phenomenally well. They realized, like, hey, we need a space on the internet, but we also have to match that energy. We also have to give people what they're actually used to, what they're familiar with, what they want to consume. If we just throw up our regular Jesse Waters at 8 p.m., listen, YouTube, the internet's not the right audience for that. And Netflix needs to realize this, that like Netflix, you're really good at what you're doing. You're really good at being,
and you should not undersell how good Netflix is doing right now in comparison to all the other streaming services. They really do dominate the landscape of streaming, but I feel like he's comparing apples to oranges in a lot of ways. He's not, because for the most part, all forms of media and entertainment now are competing for your eyeballs in a way that just didn't need to be done 40 years ago. We were talking the other day about, I think last Friday, about, the death of the celebrity. And I said, that's because celebrities were anointed by corporations and networks back in the day. So, the names that got famous because executives and studio heads put them on every channel, and they were only owned by a few people. All the entertainment was centralized, so everybody coalesced around these people. Now there's a micro celebrity on every corner that hits out to some very, very specific market, and you don't really see, you see a lot more micro celebrities coming from the realm of YouTube and influencers and up-and-coming creators than you do from actors who you consider to be like Netflix actors.
You have to know your lane, right?
Yeah.
So I think a good way to compare this is like Netflix, you're like a 4 or 5-star hotel. Yes, when people go and stay there, they enjoy it, but it's not what they always want to do. Most people are going to find the 3-star hotel, which is YouTube, right?
Yeah.
There's more of it. There's more options out there. It's cheaper. It's easier to do. And I think they just need to know their lane. Like when someone wants to sit down at home and relax, right? Yeah, they'll turn on Netflix. When someone's on the go, if I have 15 minutes between appointments or something, I'm not going to load up a Netflix show. I'm going to
one
load
of
up a
the-
YouTube video.
I think one of the reasons is in that business model, you have to continue to try and grow. It's why they've pushed into live sports in the same way.
I don't think that's a completely. I mean, I think if you look at like Peacock, their golf events are now being streamed live on Peacock. I think that was the natural progression because.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like
companies,
it makes sense that you naturally progress and you try to gather up as much of the entertainment sphere as possible, which is why people thought it was weird when Mr. Beast was starting to go over to Amazon Prime. But what they said is like, look, these are the creators of the future and these are the people that they want to work with. And that scares a lot of regular Hollywood celebrities because they've been insulated by the industry as opposed to these people. Look, there was this article going around where, have you ever seen the fake picture of like a guy who looks like Mr. Beast flying commercial? And everyone's like, looks like Mr. Beast fell on hard times. And he responded to that personally and said, look, I laugh about this every time I see it because there have been plenty of times where I've had to take like a coach flight because I needed to get somewhere and I just sit in the back and everybody there is already a fan.
Yeah.
So they're more relatable to people. Even if I think a lot of times that is a facade, they are inherently more relatable to people. People are sick of the traditional studio structure. And if you want to go make something like a documentary or a short film about something that you're passionate about, you're not going to go pitch that to Netflix. That's not a thing. That's not a thing unless you already work in that industry. You're going to go and find a way to make it yourself.
So with live sports, that was something that was on TV. Netflix is replacing TV. And right now it sounds like from his comments, he wants to replace the internet too, which doesn't make sense. Like you can take a Mr. Beast and put him on a TV show. You can't really do the opposite. Now, I will say what Netflix could do, be very easy for them to do. It's something that National Geographic, the History Channel, what they do is they'll put one episode or maybe a handful of episodes from one of their series, they'll put it on free on YouTube with ads. So they're getting a ton of ad rev, but they're not putting their whole catalog there. It's like, hey, if you like this show and you want to continue watching this show, you have to go sign up for Netflix. That's something they could do.
Honestly, there's millions of movies for free on YouTube.
Yep.
Like millions of
and you know what it is, and it's something that you tout all the time, is the Tubi model.
Yep.
It's the
people
freebie.
I like people were just talking about that, and there's somebody goes, Tubi has some who is it? I just saw here. Said Tubi has some underrated classics. Yes, Tubi and the Roku channel both do.
Tubi and Freevee. And
Freevee doesn't even exist anymore technically.
Oh, doesn't?
I mean, it's all back on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
But I think you can still use the Freevee app, but it's not technically.
I think that model has proven to work, and it's technically what YouTube is doing. And so it's like, listen, you're never going to replace. No one's going to load up a Netflix app to watch a Mr. Beast video. It's not going to happen. YouTube is synonymous with internet video. Yeah. Right. So.
They're different markets.
I mean, if you wanted,
but you're all competing for the same.
If you wanted just to generate waves in the press, he did his job. Yep. But I'd be really curious, dude. Netflix tried to launch games, and I haven't met a single person that plays Netflix games.
I know.
Who are these people? Yeah. And they keep adding new games.
Yeah.
Who are these people that are playing the Netflix games?
It's like our show. We have one person who watches us from a Nintendo Wii.
That's awesome.
If that's you, we love you. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.